And Simone and Sadie, Christina's from Skowhegan. I will introduce for her because her audio is connecting. So Sadie and Simone are here from Maine Crafts Association to talk about Maine Craft Weekend. And I'm going to let the two of them take it away. They have a plan. Good morning, Bill King. Bill King is an advisory council member joining us from Bath. So take it away.
Great. Thanks so much, Anne. And thanks everybody for having us. We were here probably about this same time last year doing something similar. So you might be familiar with this through that or just through seeing it happening around. And we have several folks here whose communities have participated in the event. And we're hoping that you might kind of help us explain to the group what being involved in the program is like. Briefly, the Maine Crafts Association has been around since the 80s. I'm the executive director and have been here since 2009, executive director since 2012. And our mission, which we just rewrote, so now I have to read it, is to build upon Maine's rich craft traditions by nurturing a vibrant, supportive, inclusive craft community with educational programs and resources. And up until the beginning of this year, when we divided into two organizations, MCA operated 2 craft galleries and several craft shows. And though we've now broken into 2 organizations, and our sister organization, Shop Maine Craft, runs all of those shopping kind of things. And the Maine Crafts Association continues and is expanding our educational programs, which include storytelling initiatives, a lot of the member benefits, craft apprentice program, workshops, anything educational, which includes our Stitch Fashion Show, which is an event and a fundraiser, but also educational, and Maine Craft Weekend, which is what we're here today to talk about. Maine Craft Weekend is a statewide studio tour of Maine craft studios, businesses, and events. And it began in 2013. It started out with some funding help from the Maine Office of Tourism, which built over a couple of years. And we've kind of branched out and had different partners and funders over the years. Maine Made is always a partner. For a few years, we partnered with the Maine Brewers Guild to get breweries involved. That formal partnership isn't any longer, but breweries also still are involved on their own. And then along the way, in response to the just the event evolving and people started different, like artists working with a different kind of business or artists teaming up together to create kind of hubs of activity because those were the types of events that were getting more traffic versus a solo person in a studio really far away from any other events, which we still support those because they're a core part of the event. But we're also supporting the trend to creating hubs of activities. So we developed the Featured Cities program. And so that's what we're wanting to tell you guys about today that you may want to be involved in. And so briefly, and this might be a good time, Simone, if you want to share your screen. We have a several page long kind of description of the program that I'm not going to go through every single point, but we're going to put it up. This is the website, and we'll be able to send you the description of the program afterward. So the featured cities are any city or town that wants to be involved. Typically, we find that it works best with cities like yours that have an organization of some sort or part of the Main Street program that have staff and someone, really a point person that can organize this. And you kind of become a mini version of what we're doing. So what we're doing is we're promoting Maine Craft Weekend with all these events underneath it. And then you are promoting Maine Craft Weekend in your city with all the little events underneath it. So you come on as a featured city, you are promoted on our website. You get a a page on a website with all the events that are in your town. You get a newsletter sent out to our whole list and promoted on our social medias, which is about 20,000 different contacts. And but before all that happens, you work with your community to get events signed up. In some cases, towns have done this for several years, and you've got kind of a handful of events and locations that are ready to go. When you're starting out, it's a little bit more work to get people to understand what the event is and recruit them to be involved. In towns, a lot of times it is those collaborations, like a coffee shop might invite Potter to have a pop-up and sell coffee mugs, or several artists might take over an empty space and do like a pop-up show. In some cases, featured cities have used the partnership and collaboration to promote an event. So Hallowell one year used it they did their luthier festival, I forget what it was called. During Maine Craft Weekend, it involved a lot of makers and musicians, and the partnership promoted that event specifically, which was town-wide. Freeport actually is a good example of that with their fall festival. And Heart of Ellsworth, Cara might be able to describe it a little bit better, but they sort of have a mix of like events organized by Heart of Ellsworth and individual events in the city. So the way it works is the featured city pays to be involved, and the cost is $500 for a basic involvement, and that includes everything that I just described. And you can pay an additional $500 to be in a Down East ad. And the Down East ad is branded Maine Craft Weekend and features promotes all the featured cities who have bought into that ad. So it's totally optional to do that. Last year we had 6 featured cities, and I think 4 of them were in the ad. So that's just kind of a way to sort of up your promotion, but otherwise the participation or like all the other benefits are the same. Included in the bottom of this document is a whole checklist of everything kind of that you should think about, need to do, the deadlines to get us things. And we also are able to help you along the way if you need tips and tools to get people involved, ideas for events. In many cases, you probably already have people in your city who have done the event on their own previously. So those are like kind of low-hanging fruit folks to get on your list. We recommend that you would have try to aim for 10 events. That's kind of makes it feel like a featured city with enough going on that somebody could come downtown and, they might not even go to all 10, but they could bounce around to, 2 to 6 events and understand the connection. So that is the overview. It's kind of quick. And at this point, we wanted to give the folks who've participated previously a chance to just chime in and share with the group what the experience was like for them, and give kind of just like a realistic idea of both the work that goes into it and kind of what the positive impact is. And also, if you have any suggestions for us to make it better for you, would be happy to talk about those kind of things too.
That's a great idea, because I know many of you did it last year and are already signed up again. Could we just see a raise of hands of how many of you are signed up to do it this year so far? Bucksport, Ellsworth. Okay, a couple of you. And Melissa, you did it last year in Gardner.
Yeah, we would most likely do it again.
Yeah. And Deb, you did it in Hallowell. I know you're at work, so you can nod your head. Any of you want to share about your experience? I think it would be helpful to others that are considering doing it. Amanda.
Yeah, we'll do it again. It was a good, we did the basic 500 one just to start out, and we felt like it was a very good value for what we put in, and hopefully this year we can get a sponsor to help us make that extra bump up to get back into Down East. And we have been fortunate to be in Down East several times, and I think that that has helped each time. Such a respected publication. But I'm so glad to know that you guys continue to partnership, as Maine Craft Weekends, that recognition of your organization, then when people see, when they're driving down the road, oh, it's all such great connectivity. For me, I ended up being the point person to gather all of our crafters, makers, artists, and it did create some extra work for me to research some people, to connect with them, to chase them, to coordinate with them, to get yard sale signs to them. But I do feel, again, like it was worth it. And we have several no-brainers here in town, like the Chocolate Church, and it was easy to ask the Maine's First Ship to do a rope tying, because that's an artist trade thing like nothing else. Even the Maine Maritime Museum has ongoing things that can be considered makers and unique and interesting. So some of that was just super easy. It depends on what you have in your community. Almost every one of us has some ready-made people that would be happy to join. And I really like the logo, the orange and white, and timely and good transition the first weekend of October. People are ready for fall, and it's very recognizable. Your graphics are lovely. And I'm always relieved when somebody else is doing some marketing, so I don't have to think about it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the collateral material and the design is really great looking. Like, it's great to be part of that. It was helpful for me to hear, Amanda, some of the specific things you did, like the rope tying. Like, what a cool idea. I had no idea, but I know, like, in Stonington, there's a guy who like runs a chandlery, and he does these little rope things that are all maritime related. It's really art. It's really amazing. Anyway, so cool. What else? Deb, who's at work?
Yeah, I'm at the State House. When we did the Maine Luthier Showcase, I think we did it for 2 years. I was at the Harlow Gallery, so it was part of my job putting it together. And the Luthier Showcase, so that's stringed instrument makers, was the idea of Nate Rudy, our then city manager, and unfortunately he's gone off to Gray. And we probably won't be doing that event again, but I'm already brainstorming and thinking of partners that Vision Hollowell can reach out to and see if we can. I think it'll be, because everyone kind of understands how it works. And it was really effective so far as marketing statewide for a small city. It's a great deal. So thank you, Maine. Thank you, Sadie.
Well, thanks for doing it. And actually, one thing that I know at least Ellsworth did one time, and I'm curious, Cara, if you want to comment on like how it worked, or if you're going to try this approach again, was to offset the cost. They had folks in the town pay a fee to participate, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that. It may have pros and cons, but that is a strategy.
Yeah, I guess we did that the first year before, and it was sort of when this featured cities aspect on the Maine Crafts Association side was sort of being formulated. And if I remember correctly, it was a lot of work. And also it added a lot of confusion. And so we sort of ditched that approach after the first year. And then I think there was some sort of internal conversation between you and I, Sadie, where I don't remember exactly how it happened. It feels like if it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, so it feels like a long time ago. My brain's filled with other things by now, but if I remember correctly, it was just confusing. And so then it was sort of, I think the MCA decided that they were going to try and push this whole thing that to direct artists, if you're part of a featured city, it is free for you. You know, just sort of like as a reminder, it was always that way, but it was sort of like a little bit more pronounced, that aspect of things.
Well, that's the majority way of doing it, but it's not a rule, actually. I mean, if there was a way that you could structure within your city that it made sense for people to pay a fee to participate. And I think now that the program is just further along, that could fit in a certain way, but it could, yeah. I mean, the downside is that maybe perhaps it does cause confusion. But I think it's been tried. It wasn't super successful, but if you really needed to offset the 500, they could probably think of some creative ways to do that, either through sponsorship or charging your participants something.
Yeah, I would say trying to find, find monies to do it. We've sometimes spent as much as $10,000 on producing this program in Ellsworth. Yeah, I mean, the first couple of years, it was really a big deal because we were starting and it was like we had structure from the MCA and we received grant dollars to do so. And we had a really big celebration in the middle of a vacant building in downtown, which no longer exists because now it's rented. And we had a whole space where people were able to come in. We had a potter set up, we had a woodworker set up, we had a jeweler set up, and these people were able to sort of walk through and to be able to sort of participate, use the tools, talk with the maker. And those events are really great and they really push that education piece, which, is really important and kind of like one of the ultimate goals for the MCA and for Heart of Ellsworth as well. But it's, as years have gone on, COVID happened. And so that model didn't really work anymore for us. But last year, we had 8 participants. We really involved a lot of the area nonprofits like the Grand Theater and our local library. And we had more than 550 people participate last year. We had a concert at our local brewery, and we really used last year, and we plan on using this year's event to really frame up our mural project that we're working on in downtown. That's a 3,000 square foot wall that we're working with artist Judy Taylor to do the installation there and it's been like a 3-year long project. And so it just so happens that the painting is going to somewhat coincide this year with the event. That's our hope, at least. So that's been our experience.
I like that you activated an empty building. Always a good reminder, if you have a building, even if it's just temporarily in transition between tenants, ask the landowner if you could use the building. Such a great idea. Other questions or people wanting to share their experience? Melissa.
I sort of treated it as like a cooperative marketing opportunity. I wouldn't say that it was like a sponsorship because they're not going to get their logo on the postcard or something like that goes out from MCA. But so I did have one of our more prominent craft-based businesses contribute, and then a new crafter on the street. So hopefully, cool. It was a challenge last year with COVID and everything else to get a number of listings that were quality. So hopefully just by repeating it and knowing that it's an event, it'll get more traction, because that's always like, we put the money in, but then there's only 3 things listed or whatever. We did eventually get closer to that 10 sweet spot that Sadie was talking about. But yeah, that was a challenge with COVID and everything. But I do think that we had a great turnout, and I heard from some of the businesses who talked with participants that the people were looking for a more intimate, new, smaller town experience. They might have done Portland, they might have done the more notorious art towns. So, and we were featured in Down East a few months before, and then we were in the ads. So I think Gardner was in recent memory and people wanted to check it out. So
Cool.
there was great marketing exposure for us. And that was all that I didn't have to do too much on the marketing end. So that was great.
That's cool. I love how each of you that have been talking are approaching it slightly differently, from marketing to education to experiential. It's really cool. The one thing I'll say that from like a statewide perspective, and also from a cultural tourism perspective, I feel like this event has been building over the years. It's become like a regular thing that Maine does. And I feel like it's trickling down to you guys. Like, you know, you may have only participated one year and it was hard, but like the next year, like it's building. So I think it's really a lovely partnership when it works for you guys to, you know, work with Maine Crafts Association. Any questions for Sadie or Simone?
So you want to just kind of mention, Simone, just like the next steps or of like maybe
Yeah,
the
that'd be great.
first deadlines?
Sure. So what will happen if I will
So
send.
Simone,
Oh.
you're on mute so we can hear you on Sadie's mic. So there, thanks.
There we go. So the first thing, what will happen is I can send everyone this infographic. It has all the information, the dates and the deadlines. And then you can decide if you want to participate, at which level you'd like to participate. And then we can go from there and I can help you start finding those events, like using our database and trying to find contacts. It can be a resource for that.
That's a great idea. If you send the materials, you can either put them in the chat, Simone, or you can send them to me and I'll put them out to the whole list, even the people that aren't here today.
Great,
And
thank
Terry,
you.
I forget, did we already put this in the newsletter? I
I
forget.
don't believe this was in the last newsletter.
Okay, so we'll get it in the next newsletter too. So that'd be great.
The first thing is June 1st is to get your featured city page started.
Cool. That's great. That'll work timing wise with our communication as well. And like I said, we'll do an email with whatever materials you want us to send out.
Great, thank you.
Cool. That's great. Last call for questions or comments for Sadie and Simone before I let them head on their Friday way. Okay. Thanks you guys for joining us and
Thank you, everyone.
sharing the updates. And it's really fun. It's fun to see our downtowns become a destination in this like bigger marketing effort. So thanks.
Thank you guys. Thanks to everybody for participating and definitely like be in touch. You know, you have questions and they're still kind of mulling it over. Like we're happy to go into more detail anytime.
Super. Thanks guys.
Appreciate it.
Bye. Super. Okay. So couple announcements from my perspective. We had the Maine Association of Nonprofits do our board training last week. Did anybody have board members participate or did you participate? Just looking around. Great. The feedback we got was all positive. A few people thought it was too much 101, but I actually felt like even though it was 101, it was really just such a great grounding program. And I would like to keep MAMP to be one of our board trainers every year, have them do that piece. And then I will do the 4-point approach, or someone from MDC will do the more detailed methodology 4-point approach training. And that way all board members get, you know, the board member piece, the governance, right? And then they get the methodology. So I hope that feels like a good balance to everybody. Any comments or questions on that? That is our plan for 2022, but I welcome your feedback.
I think it was a good reminder. I mean, we have a lot of board members who have been board members on other boards, but I think that the 101 level is a really good sort of reminder of basics. So I thought it was great.
Yeah, I did too. Thanks. Yeah, and there are other things that I'm working on, as I mentioned at that session. I know many of you are members of MAMP, but I'm trying to figure out how we could be a conduit to getting a discounted member for our members or something like that. So I have a meeting with them in a couple of weeks just to make sure that, you know, you all who are mostly, not all of you, are nonprofits, and doesn't that make good sense? It does to me. Like, if I can lower your membership rates but give them more members, it'd be win-win. So more to follow on that. Reminder of our wonderful National Main Street Conference coming up. If you are thinking of going, decide soon. I did hear, I guess it's a fact, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it out loud, that they are going to cap they're going to cap it this year for the first time because just of life with a pandemic. So if you are like on the fence, decide. It's May, 16th, 17th, and 18th. And Monday night, if you're in Richmond, Virginia, we will be having a state get together at a pub, which, that's my change that I own. We don't do a sit down formal Maine state dinner. That was what it used to be called. I just have us get together and have a good time. And we'll order some Southern food and look forward to seeing those of you that make it. Let's see.
Anne, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Please.
Since this will be my first time, and I'm just wondering, do we register for individual sessions? Is that going to open up, or is it just going to be a free-for-all when we show up?
I think you register for individual sessions.
I just haven't seen that opportunity yet. Or
Oh.
maybe I'm missing something.
Well, I guess maybe, you know what? I don't know who it is, Perry. I see your note. Anybody know anybody named Nair? Well, I guess we could always let them in and then.
Nair's from Maine Crafts.
Oh, okay. They can come. They're Thanks, Melissa. I'm wondering whether you're right, Melissa, that they didn't have the breakdown of the sessions. They just had the big trainings and the walking tours and all of that.
Well,
Right.
they've listed them all, but it's
Yeah.
just like too much to look through to
Yeah, I know.
prioritize.
Yeah. And in the past, it was just the walking tours that you go on, the bus tours or whatever. And
Okay.
then they had a couple of other main sessions you signed up for, but then all the other just concurrent sessions, it's
Are free for all. Okay.
yeah, it's a free for all. And Melissa, obviously, the best tip would be is to pick up the ones you really want and mark them down, but then have a plan B for each session. Because sometimes you'll walk in and it's the most popular one and you need to run to the next one. Or you walk in one, sit in the back row and they really suck and you want to move on. For you, I mean, they don't suck, obviously, and I'm sorry, but they, sometimes they're just not what you thought they were going to be, and you want to get out quick and go run and catch that other one and use that as well. So I just
first of all, Rob, thank you. Like, I appreciate you kind of thinking it through on the ground, because I forgot that Melissa actually has never been, which is crazy to me. So I'm really glad you're going to get to experience it. And thanks for remembering, Rob, that it is that, free for all situation, which it isn't that crazy, Melissa, but just focus on any big things that you want to go to. I mean, I do think it's always great to have time to do a walking tour if your budget allows, or if there's a free one, but it'll be great. And we can also all kind of cross paths. Are you going to that one? I mean, you'll see how it works. Hi, Terry Ann. Okay, so that's national. I want to remind you all that Maine Community Foundation has the Belvedere Historic Preservation and Energy Efficiency Fund grant program. Deadline is June 1st. There's going to be an information session in April. We just set the date. I'll let you know when it is. It might, late April. Anyway, if you have nonprofits, municipal owned buildings in your downtown, or even if they're out of the downtown, that's not a requirement. Historic buildings that need an energy audit, that need a new roof, or need to do energy efficiency upgrades. This is a great source of funding. It's not huge. It's only up to $20,000. But it is a program that I provide technical assistance to, and I always want our downtowns to get funding. So consider it. Nancy, I think of 2 properties in particular in Holton that could apply. I'm sure there are more, but I was like, oh, the yellow old chamber building and the library, of course.
We did get a grant through them to get the chimneys fixed a couple of years ago.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember reading it. So anyway, think about that, guys. And oh, I want to share. I'm going to send you the link in the chat for the Belvedere, if anybody wants to pick that up. Sorry, not fast. All right, there's the link to Belvedere. And then I want to share screen and then, okay. All right. Jane's Walk. Anybody want to join? Remember we talked about this a couple months ago? Our publicity is so cute, done by our partner Maine Preservation and Portland Downtown, Greater Portland Landmarks, and Congress Square Park, Friends of Congress Square Park are all teaming up this year. We know we have a walk in Westbrook. We know we have a walk in Biddeford. I think Hollowell, Deb, is a maybe. This is not meant to be a big lift. It's really meant to be easy and fun and quirky. Carrie, do you have any walks that are specifically been identified in Portland yet?
Yeah, excuse me. We have at least 2. I'm going to host a walk on calling it Imagine Places Here, the surface parking lots of parking craters of downtown Portland.
Oh, I love it.
Could be. And CJ with Friends of Congress Square Park is hosting what I think he's calling it Grotesques and Gargoyles, which is just sort of a walking tour of interesting parts of our downtown architecture. So
and looking
more to follow as well. So
awesome. Yeah, these do not have to be formal historic walking tours. They don't have to be done by you. They can be done by someone in your community that has a passion that they want to share. And we are doing lots of, publicity and kicking this off, and hope that this will become an annual event in Maine. It is an international event with New York City and what's the Canadian city? Is it Toronto, Carrie? I think that has such like a big, huge program celebrating Jane Jacobs, and it fits so much with your downtowns. Like, I love this. So this is our first year and we're just dipping our toe in it. And let me know if you have questions. And Joanna, who's not here today, used to run a Jane's Walk in New York. So, we have experience to help you with. Okay, those are my announcements, but I do want to turn it to Carrie. Carrie, will you talk to us about America's their walking college?
yeah, happy to. America Walks is, you may or may not be familiar with the group. They're sort of the national biggest advocate for improved walkability in communities. So they host have for a number of years what they call their Walking College Fellows. As my dear and lovely wife always tells me when I jaywalk, she says, "You've been to walking college, you should know better than to do this." But nonetheless, it is a good experience. It's normally a national sort of competitive piece where they accept 25 or so people, and it is a 6-month virtual set of trainings for about 5 hours a week, where you need to dedicate an hour and a half to like an online Zoom, and then a few hours to reading and research. And ultimately you develop what they call a walking action plan for your community. It can be your downtown, it can be a historic neighborhood, a combination of both. It's just a really good undertaking. I was a 2020 fellow, and I had a really positive experience and ended up developing a walking action plan for downtown Westbrook, where I live, and met some wonderful people from across the country, and really had some good, engaging conversations, and learned a lot. And I'm sort of obsessed with this stuff and still learn quite a lot. All that to say that they're offering AARP Maine is funding, along with Miracle Walks, a Maine-based fellowship program. This is the first time they've done a specific state related focused activity. And so they're looking for applicants. So there is no charge to this, which is a pretty extraordinary benefit. And it is about a 6-month undertaking, like I said, somewhere from May to September. They're still working it out. I'm going to put in the chat, and I think I've sent this to Ann, and she's going to put it.
No, I put the wrong one in. So please put the Maine-based one in. I put in the national one, Carrie. So yeah, we need the AARP Maine link. Thank you.
Yep, it's right
That's
there.
so cool that they're doing a Maine-based one. I missed that in our communication the other day, that there was a Maine-specific one. That's awesome. We have to get some of our Main Streets and affiliates. And maybe you have a volunteer or a board member who is really passionate about walking and health and bike ped safety or something like that, that would be willing to do it. And the fact that it's free is amazing.
Yeah, it is. All of that, yes, 1,000 times. And yeah, it's Maine-based, it's free. That link takes you right to the
Yeah, there it is.
simple application. It's great for design committees, great for designers in your community. It's great for staff, it's great for board members, etc. So I just can't recommend it highly enough. It's a great professional development at no cost, great networking opportunity. Just, it's straight in line with all this James Walk stuff we're talking about. So I can't say enough good things. That being said, I should admit my bias. I probably will end up as a mentor in this. And so I will be a temporary contract employee for those folks. So full disclosure going in, but I still recommend it. So happy to answer questions.
Yeah, ask questions. Deb.
Is there, so this is the application, is there a link to like an explanation about what it's about here in Maine that I could send to a bunch of people who might be interested?
Absolutely. Let me put that in the chat. Give me just a minute.
Thanks. And I'll make sure to save the chat after today to send that out. Just if you don't grab it now, Perry and I will try to remember. Yeah, that's really cool. And again, it doesn't have to be you, but who on your board or on your design committee or part of your Parks and Rec committee, Parks and Rec program in your town, like lots of ways to think about getting someone in your community through this training. What other unlikely partners? The local hospital, a local health center. Very cool.
You're going to send us that link, Ann?
I sure
I'm interested in it to share with some people in my community.
Actually, it would be really good for Bucksport, at least in my recent conversations talking about all the work happening down at the pier, right?
Yes.
And down the harbor and getting people to the town. And what does that walking
exactly
look like?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm interested in that info. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Other questions for Carrie about his experience? He's fun to work with too. You'd probably like having him as a mentor.
My wife might disagree, but
oh no. Cool. All right, well, that's awesome. What else do you want to throw out today? What else is happening in your communities? Things you want to update us on or check in about? Anything in particular? I confess that I personally have been consumed with a grant that UMaine and MDF are applying for through the EDA Build Back Better program, not the infrastructure Build Back Better, but the EDA Build Back Better. And together we are submitting now 7 individual component projects that all relate through one narrative. And it's just a madhouse. That's the only way to describe it. Bedlam, isn't that another good word? Anyway, it's crazy and it's due March 15th. And I am barely keeping my head above water, even though I'm working a lot of extra hours. Amanda.
Thank you for doing all of that. I really appreciate it, because I don't need more bedlam in my life, so you can have it. I just wanted to shout out to Deb King, who's not here, and to me, because we just got this amazing surprise award from the Southern Mid-Coast Maine Chamber, and they're having their annual award ceremony tonight, which I had to find an outfit to fit into, which after 2 years of the pandemic was really hair-raising. I spent an hour in my closet and it was bad. I have one outfit. That's
Whoa.
it. But
What's the award? And I'm so glad you have something to wear.
It's huge. So according to Corey King, the executive director, he says traditionally there's 12 businesses that receive awards every year at their annual meeting. And this year he has narrowed it down to 4 organizations that have really rose to the top during the pandemic and led the way both in spirit and in business support and in connectivity during a time when we were all very disconnected. So Deb King and the Brunswick Downtown Association is winning an award. Myself and Main Street Bath is winning an award. The Maine State Music Theater is winning an award, as well as Wilcox Wellness Center. So it's really huge and very timely, and I'm pretty excited about it. So
congratulations. That's really cool.
I hope Deb is excited about it. Rob, are you guys going to go tonight? Rob Biggs?
No. Won't be there.
But Deb will be there.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. I like the sound of that, just, not 12 businesses, but like those underarching organizations that are really kind of keeping connectivity and positivity. So that's great, Amanda. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I look for a press release and photos of you and Deb that we can push out, and I'll send Corey an email too. Other announcements, questions, problems? Cara.
I just have a quick question about the Senator King Collins sort of portal being reopened and what that. I'm sorry, I'm saving you an email because I've
totally
been
fair.
off.
Yes. So a couple things on the senatorial earmark or the congressionally directed spending. So as you know, we submitted a congressionally directed spending request in the fall, or gosh, it might have been, I feel like it was last spring. I don't even know, time has evaporated. And we were shortlisted by both senators and told that this, was in appropriations and we were getting it. And then there was this big vote this week and we are been told again, we're getting it, but we just don't have any official word. And that's to replicate the entrepreneur ecosystem work that we had done in 3 pilot communities. And many of you are part of that. So I don't know is the answer to that. But Cara is also acknowledging that there's a new portal open for 2023 CDS requests. And what I can tell you is that we are going to host an information session, MDF largely, and we hope that you all will come with your municipal partners to that information session. We've already spoken to Carol Woodcock in Senator Collins' office. So we'll be doing that and pushing out and sharing everything that we know and getting senatorial staff in front of you and municipal leaders. So that's coming. I don't have a date yet, Cara. And, then we say, well, if we don't get it, are we going to apply again? And I can't even answer that right now. But bottom line is we'll be hosting an information session for you and municipal partners to think about projects to submit.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We had somebody email us and ask us to put in a proposal. And I was like, I think we already have one in. I don't want to be a part of 2. I don't want to work against whatever.
I mean, I would just say, you all get questions like that, and you obviously are totally free to do that. And those are all separate from kind of what we have sitting on the table, which fingers crossed are just coming. I just don't know, but gosh, we should really hear. We were told by the 15th, so 4 days. So I'll let you know as soon as I know.
Thank you.
And we got word from Senator Collins' office that they're taking a vote today.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Nancy. Maybe you'll hear soon, you guys. But think about that. I mean, these are big projects that you could do something really transformative in your downtown area, without a doubt, with multiple partners that would drive economic development, drive resilience, depending upon the phrasing of the CDS request. Other questions, things to throw out? Great, quiet Friday, and that's okay. So hearing none, Perry, anything you can think of from our end? No, okay. We're looking forward to having Joanna back. She's been on a 2-week vacation. We need her back.
I was promised pictures from Portugal that I never got. So
I haven't gotten one. Yeah. So a few follow-ups that we'll send out. I'll send out the walking college stuff that Carrie shared with us in the chat, and the link to Belvedere, and whatever, all the other things. We'll send that out afterwards, as well as the recording for those that missed it. And please let me know, let Perry know. Joanna will be in a cloud, so don't ask her questions next week. But let us know if you need anything. And we'll be coming out of the cave of EDA grant writing. And thanks everybody for coming. And have a great Friday. See ya.